We'll give it about a minute to join for everyone to join, and then we'll dive right in. Thank you all and welcome.
Tara, we always got to start with a fun question. How about we start with what do people have for breakfast? Jen, put in the chat. Put in the chat.
I'm a terrible breakfast girl, and I am like a granola bar in the morning. That's all I get
You
down.
gotta do
Maybe
it everyone.
banana.
Banana, black coffee. Okay. Everybody made fun of me this morning when I had this um pumpkin spice latte. Sorry, it was a latte.
Ooh, can't go
Um
wrong with pumpkin spice.
it's my first pumpkin spice latte that I had yesterday. And then I had a second one today.
Well, we're officially in October next month, so then it's officially okay, right?
Yes.
'Tis the season. Yes, Jess.
Hmm.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Hospitality Insights to Attract, Engage, and Retain Top Talent. We're so glad you can join us today. Before we get started with our speakers, I'll walk you through a few housekeeping items. First, this webinar is being recorded and we'll be sharing the recording along with the full presentation via email within the next 24 hours. Secondly, we will have some time for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions you'd like the team to answer, please make sure to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We encourage you to participate and make the most of our time together. The session is going to be packed with valuable insights, so I really encourage you to take notes and think about how these trends apply to your organization. We're excited to have two incredible speakers with us today. We've got Anil Harjani from Hierology and Jennifer Fugalo from AHLA. Together, Hierology and AHLA are working to expand opportunity and strengthen the hospitality workforce. We're looking forward to diving into this data with all of you. So with that, let's get started. Anil, I'll hand it over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tara. And hello, everybody. And a special hello and warm welcome to Jen. Always exciting to host a panel with you. I said we're going to take this on the road, and here we are.
We're on the
Uh,
road,
we
and I heard
are.
some
We
familiar
are.
names. Hey, Suzanne.
Oh, yeah. Please shout out a little hello so we all can see you in the chat. And let's get started. We got a lot of great stuff to cover. We're gonna start. This is the agenda. We're gonna start with who's applying right now. What they're valuing. We're gonna learn about these applicants and why they abandoned. One of the key reasons, issues we see in the hospitality space is applicants abandon their applications. We'll dig into how applicants are interacting with potential employers. We'll use data about their first impressions with or hospitality organizations and how job seekers are just becoming more savvier shoppers. We got to think about it that way. I'll walk through some strategies that are consistently kind of move the needle for hospitality brands that we're seeing. And we'll wrap up with a recap and cover your questions and just be a dialogue between me and Jen. So if it gets unhinged, we'll ask Tara to get us back on track. So let's take a closer look. You go to the next slide, Tara, at today's landscape. There's a lot to be excited about. Okay, so let's look at the surge of applicant volume, up 14% in 2025. That's thousands more people inspired to join the industry and bring their talents. There's a clear sign that hospitality is attracting the attention as it deserves, where people want to build their careers and make a difference. We're also seeing job postings rise by 11% compared to last year. This just means more opportunities are opening up across the industry. More organizations are investing in growth and innovation. It's pretty fantastic to see employers expanding their teams and entering the field. Now, while hiring cycles have lengthened a bit, as you see over there, from 20 to 23 days, this actually shows that organizations are putting a little bit more thought into and caring to finding the right talent. We often hear about volume and quality. So now we're kind of seeing the volume and now we're shifting to quality. They're raising the bar, they're focusing on those good fits, and they're settling both companies and candidates up for success. So the numbers show some shifts, but what stands out is the hospitality industry is growing. more talents entering it. We're being more intentional about the quality of the talent. And so that's something I think is pretty exciting. It's a different problem to solve, but it's an exciting move. So let's look at the next step, which is let's step into the shoes of the hospitality job seeker in 2025. Today's applicant is ambitious. They're not just looking for a job, they're looking for a place to really grow. They're adaptable, ready to take on new challenges in a fast-changing industry, and they're actively searching for the next opportunity. Applicants today want a streamlined process, a flexible process, and something that respects their time and effort. So it's very much of a candidate's market in some way. They expect to see more meaningful opportunities and roles that offer growth for them, flexibility again, and just a sense of belonging. Those things matter. The reality is, these applicants are, we call them savvy shoppers. They got some choice too. So just like your guests compare hotels and restaurants online, job seekers are comparing you to every other employer out there. In fact, our research shows that 43% of hospitality candidates have applied to more than 30 jobs. 30 jobs in the last 6 months. They're weighing their benefits, the benefits they see, the culture, the flexibility, and they're quick to move if and only if the process is smooth, but they'll move on if the process isn't smooth and the offer just isn't compelling. So it's like they're shopping, but they're shopping fast. So we'll dive into these findings today. Keep in mind, delivering a seamless, authentic, attractive candidate journey is what will set you apart in a very crowded market. So let's go to the next slide. Jennifer, on to you. Tell us more.
Thanks, Anil. I'm going to throw additional data at you, but please don't be overwhelmed. Really, the point of this discussion among us today is to provide you with solutions and some things to think about so that you can take actionable steps after our time together. So bear with me. But pulling the thread through from what Anil said, it really is about treating employees the way that we treat our customers, right? And so if we think about that initial step with the recruitment process, first impressions matter, right? I mean, you're seeing here the data, 41% of applicants visit your career site first, right? To learn more about your culture, your company, your benefits. For lack of a better term, that's your storefront, right? So we have to treat it like it's prime real estate so that you can give prospective associates a sense of your culture, your EVP, right? And we've got to put some time and effort into that and to ensure that you are kind of breaking through the clutter and the noise, because you all have this information as a playbook, but really is going to stand out are the steps that you take to differentiate yourself once they get to your storefront. Some of the obvious things that we saw also in the research was needs to be visual. We all love a video. We all love a picture. We don't like a lot of text, right? And certainly as we think about, especially our frontline associates, that is going to resonate most with them as we think about their connection to your company. And then of course, mobile friendly. We've been talking about that for over a decade, it feels like at this point. But it's definitely an investment, if not on your radar yet, and something that your organization is doing. It is table stakes and certainly should be something to vouch for as an immediate investment. Neil, anything you want to add to that?
I think this is pretty, spot on. Just remember, just think of your career site as if imagine a guest was walking up to your property or to your website. What are they going to see? What are they going to feel? What are they going to say to somebody they know about that opportunity? That is a chance to make an impression, first impression, versus when you get on the phone with them. Just make sure you're packaging your product around the opportunity to work in your organization right there, front and center.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Does any specific example come to mind from a customer that you're currently working with?
Yeah, I think the imagery is probably where we see it. We have a pretty large customer that has probably somewhere between 50 and 75 properties, and they really, really cared about the imagery of the experience of the day-to-day of what that candidate or that employee would be seeing. They wanted to show the property because that is a work environment. They wanted to show their other employees that who are there, current employees, and put those names up there. Because if that candidate came in and was coming for an interview or even a first day on the job, they want them to have the experience, be like, I saw you on the website. And like, it's just they're thinking through the candidate journey, much like the thinking through the guest journey. And I
Mhm.
think it's just that mindset. And so again, a large entity that we really appreciated. Like they gave us the why as opposed to like I just wanted pictures and I just wanted to look nice. It was like here's why. And I think that may be your intention as perhaps the beginnings of all the other things that come after that. And so we'll talk about that later. But I think that those we can always learn from those examples as well.
Awesome. Cool. All right, let's go to the next slide. What do applicants really want? I'm sure you all have your own data and comp research that you're doing. So it probably is validating what you're seeing here, right? Total comp, especially in this economic environment, that is going to be a huge lever and factor in considering whether they want to make an investment, a shared value investment for your organization. And perhaps surprisingly, but unsurprisingly, career growth remains incredibly important, right? Those opportunities for advancement, particularly as we look at the younger generations, right? They're looking for places that provide purpose and where they can truly see, right, in a transparent way, the steps that they need to take, the skills that they need to grow, right, to get to the next level of all of the pretty pictures and video stories that they're seeing when they first apply to the jobs, right, on your career site. I would also say that kind of shift in scheduling availability, it's important. It's becoming table stakes at this point. So to the extent that, again, your storefront, you're thinking about how to bring all of these things together from a content perspective, right? How this stuff is displayed on your website. That is truly going to make a difference as we think about marrying what applicants really want with what you can provide. Neil, anything else?
No, I think you're spot on. These are the motivations, and I think it's important to also, if you go back a slide, just absorb the data, absorb that pie
Mm,
chart. Remember, understanding where someone's coming from is important. What they value is important. And so, yeah, you knowing, get to know your candidate. What happened? What do they value? These are questions that you should be asking. What's important to them? I mean, obviously you know it over here, but I think that's a bridge to get closer to what the needs are. I think that's important in a process. So
Yeah, I think overall what I'm seeing, and Neil, just in terms of sort of the HR function and talent management is more emphasis on like the recruitment marketing of it, right? And then
Mhm.
working across the organization on what the employee experience is once they become part of the organization. So certainly seeing that as a trend and something that you all are great at partnering on with folks.
Yep.
Okay, a little bit more data, and then Neil's going to talk about solutions, right? So job seekers, they're savvy shoppers, right? Neil mentioned it before, 43% of candidates have applied to more than 30 jobs in the last 6 months. I'd be curious to know what that would be 6 months from now.
It's gonna be
As we look
higher.
at the
I can
current
bet it's gonna be
environment.
higher.
Exactly, exactly. So that means your next great hire is out there and they are shopping. People are actively doing it, again, particularly in this environment. So you may argue that there's kind of a little bit of a shift going on maybe. But we've got to make sure that we're prepared, right? And so they're a shopper, they're comparing those opportunities, they're weighing the benefits, they're searching for the best fit for them. So to the extent that we can take the data and insights and know what's of value to them, what's important to them, what do they want out of their day-to-day and their long-term trajectory, that'll help inform not only deciding sort of what we invest in them, but how we are selling that and showing it to support the future workforce, to pull them in.
Jen, you know what I think is important to note? It's
Yeah.
almost like 30 jobs is a lot. And to do it, that's like, I don't know, maybe it's just five a month or whatever you want to call it. And this is obviously not, they don't do it that way. They probably start early and then
Mm.
like flood the market. We created this problem. We all created this problem. candidates don't hear back. When you don't hear back,
Mm.
you're going to start to scaffold the market even more. And the data is telling when you do hear back, you probably are more likely to take that gig. And so we'll talk about this, but like, I think the edge is in the response time, and which I guess I'm teeing up myself, quite honestly, for the next slide. So Jen, unless there's anything more, I can go to the next.
No, you're rolling.
Okay, let's go. Speed is everything. Speed is a game changer in today's hospitality hiring environment. I just can't. If you're not talking about speed at your talent acquisition meetings or talent management meetings at the management team level, you probably are missing out on the opportunity to really take advantage of what applicants really are looking for or play the game, right? Our research shows that 59% of hospitality seekers expect to be invited to an interview within 1 to 4 days of applying. 24 hours to whatever 24 times 4 is. I can't do math on the fly. If your process is slow, you're not only risking delays, you're actually just losing talent. You're just losing talent to competitors to move faster. Now, there's an argument to be made of like, maybe you shouldn't move too quickly. Maybe you do a dance. Maybe you see whether this applicant really wants to be at your business or not. I think that's fair. I just think that you have to optimize your process for speed based on your desired outcomes. Like if you're and also decide to risk with your business. There was actually some chatter on LinkedIn between myself and somebody else about this topic about don't move too quickly. People might drop off. That's okay. I think that's fine. You got to optimize your process. But in the case where you've got seats open and you want to have more shots on goal, your best chance is moving fast. So candidates are just applying on the go. They're on their phones. They expect it to be a simple process. If your application can be completed in just a few clicks without forcing them to remember their password or jump through, different barriers, you're just more likely to keep candidates engaged and just get them through your hiring funnel. Remember the candidates you're looking for, they probably don't even have a laptop to some degree, some portion of them. They probably only are applying and searching on their phone. They may be doing it on their commute or on the weekends or in the evenings. They're not doing it while they're on the job if they're in the current seat. So just remember that they almost treat an application like a text message. And when you text somebody, you kind of expect to be texted back right away. You're not just texting it and moving on. You're like, I'm engaging in a live conversation. Just remember that's the expectation. So is your application process fast enough? Is it as easy as booking a room on your site, where you get instant feedback on whether something was confirmed or not? Streamlining and prioritizing speed in this market, not every market, but this market, every minute counts. And our customers count their time to respond to candidates in minutes and hours, not in days, because they know they get the edge. So, Jen said we're going to talk about solutions, and I give you more data, but let's go into solutions now. So let's go to the next slide over here. So this is something I'm truly excited about because it highlights there's alignment. There's potential for alignment. There's a gap between what applicants hope for and how employers respond. But now we're seeing those expectations and actions really come together in a powerful way. So 63% of employers are sending interview requests within 4 days. Applicants want what employers are doing. And that is almost perfectly in sync with 59% of applicants who expect to hear back within that time frame. That's a great win for our industry. We're kind of all kind of meeting where we need to be. And so it means that, folks on the phone and the market are listening, and we're adapting to the environment. And that's kind of the new world order. So that kind of alignment makes the experience better for everybody, right? Yeah, you kind of want the candidate experience to match the employer experience and vice versa, and they're meeting them where they are. So expectations are aligned on the same timeline. It builds trust, right? It keeps the process moving, helps us attract more talent, retain the best people. There's sort of a flywheel going on. And the proof point that the industry is keeping up with the change. Actually, we think of this as very positive. And so it's more of a, people-focused hiring experience. And so it's kudos to the industry, if you will. So let's go next slide. And so how do you, we'll flip kind of the script to how do you stand out now in a crowded market as an employer, right? A couple of quick tips here. Generate talked about the career site. Make sure it's not just functional, but imagine your career site as a representation of your brand, of your voice. Make sure it's authentic. Make sure the things they read on the career site match with what you would say in a first round interview or a conversation over a telephone. There's just your first chance to connect with top talent. I can't express enough how important that is. Same thing with your job descriptions. Lead with what the applicants care most about. Do they care about, what the career growth? Like lead with that. This is a place where you want you to start your career, where you can grow your career. And then you got to back it up. Like let's not just, just put words out there. You got to really back it up. And that shows up in the interview, shows up even further down the hiring process. And so remember, you're not just filling roles as much as that's the temptation. You're attracting the best of the best. You want the best of the best, and now you know what the best of the best want, and you want them to grow within your organization. It is the best for everybody, best for your customers, best for your stakeholders and shareholders, etc. So, and your guests and the rest of your team. So, just put intention behind it. So let's go to the next slide, and then we'll have Jen kind of kick off. We're going to do an interactive poll. Jen, tell us more about it. You're on mute.
Yes, we're going to take a pause, deep breath. Oh, it's a lot of info. I felt some head nodding going on, even if I can't see any of your faces. So let's just take a breath and check in with each other. We don't need to make this a therapy session, but would love to know, does this match your day-to-day reality? Let us know. Okay, very, very, very much. Okay, 64%, some of it 30, not really zero. So on the whole, every single one of you can relate to this information in some way or another. Okay. All right. Was there one more question? No? Okay. We definitely want to make sure we leave time for Q&A and discussion. I'm seeing some things in the chat, and usually you get the most out of hearing from your peers. So we'll make sure that we can leave some time for that at the end. So you heard a little bit about how the industry is coming together to meet applicant and employer expectations. Hotels, as Anil just said, our industry is moving right along and working to make these investments, right? Putting these solutions into practice, whether that's streamlining communication, whether that's addressing kind of the speed issue. Those are really going to set you apart as we think about this increasingly competitive market. So let's talk a little bit about how your org can be set further apart with some proven results. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, mobile first career sites. I tend to still use my desktop for a lot of things, but again, as we prepare, we're future ready, right? Let's prepare our systems and how we operate now to be future ready for all the people who today and tomorrow are again expecting that table stakes mobile first experience. MHG Hotels career site is a really great standout example of this as we think about particularly our own hospitality space. It looks inviting, it's engaging, and especially it's making clear why it's a great place to work with catchy copy so that people quickly, whether they're reading or seeing an image, understand what that EVP is and what they can expect once they apply for that job. So you're seeing the vibrant photos, you're starting to maybe have an emotional connection to what you're seeing there, right? We want to start developing through these storefronts a relationship. And that starts with kind of not only the facts that they see as it relates to total comp and the flexibility of the schedules that you offer, but also sort of the emotional connection, right? We know our industry is all about relationships and connectivity. So you want that to come across within your site, and you want your image to look pretty. We've all been on our phone and you're like, what in the heck is going on? I'm like scrolling over, trying to pinch, doing this. Make it easy. We want things easy. Our prospective employees want things easy too. Next. All right, frictionless applications. Try to say that 3 times fast. Anil, can you say that 3 times fast?
I cannot.
Frictionless
I cannot.
applications. They
Yeah.
are essential for attracting top talent. So after you've invested in building your EVP, your employer brand, and showcasing it on your career site, that next critical step is to make sure that the application process is as easy as possible. I'd be curious to know who on this call, if you have the data to show maybe who has abandoned, right, an application because it was just too onerous. I can think about, I don't know, me applying for, a NARS lipstick sweepstakes and I'm entering 8,000 pieces of information. Like, I'm not doing it, right? Same with our customers and our employees. We've got to make it as easy as possible. We all respect and love the time that we have to ourselves and the little that we get. So what can we do to support that and make it easy for folks? So again, low friction application process. It's no longer just a nice to have. It is a necessity. So Anil mentioned this before, and he can talk more in detail about it, probably giving some specific examples from a few of their clients, but really going through step by step and looking at that process, right? Where can you eliminate unnecessary steps? And that may involve some really fun internal discussions, right? As you think about potentially enterprise-wide changes to what that process is. Hierology works really closely with their clients to sort of consult and coach around even having those conversations, right? Because having discussions around friction within the system and making big decisions about how you change a process, right, can be it can be hard. Let's be honest, right? And so through data and coaching and partnership with folks like Hierology, they can certainly help you through that process as you have those really fun internal conversations on your way to advocate for what the whole business wants, right? Which is that seamless experience on that mobile application and where you're coming after that with that speed. So, Anil, anything else you want to add on that?
I think you nailed it. I think sometimes our clients and employers maybe kind of don't want to work on automation. They want to control the experience. But we've got to a point now where candidates honestly expect it. They expect that more. They would like that more than waiting, days. They just want to know that someone on the other side has received something. I mean, I think like the trust factor on email has gone down, quite honestly. It's like
Mhm.
it's literally like a needle in a haystack. I don't know whether someone saw it. And even if you can move that needle on trust a little bit on the email, but obviously you should text more often. Um, and just acknowledge. I mean, and those automated messages can just start with an acknowledgement, or you can use it as a means to sending them some information about the opportunity. Hey, while you wait till we get back to you, or while you wait, while you between the time between day 1 and 4 when we interview you, take a look at our career site, take a look at some material or the opportunity. You can fill that time with valuable information. Maybe you can send a customer or employee story about their growth. You're in a sales process. So think about that moment in time. You need to influence them, even though you haven't met them yet. You just want to make sure that you're first. And so I would agree that automation with some personalization that's authentic can really help.
When I was in Chicago, Anil, as you're talking, this has me thinking about when I attended one of your leadership exchanges with GMs and other HR leaders in the market. And there was a lot of excitement around the promise of automated engagement because, especially on property, whether you're regional HR or GM, you're getting so bogged down with the administrative piece of this, right? That we're losing what we all got into this business for, right? Which is the hospitality piece of this. And so automated engagement really helps give time back to why many of the folks in the roles who were going through all of those applications wanted to be a part of this industry. So that seemed to really resonate, particularly at the property leader level. getting help there so that they can focus on the people and the culture and the belonging, which we all know are going to be increasingly important as we think about our future workforce and even the ones that we are trying to pull in today.
Yeah. And remember, that automated engagement can also be a point of qualification too. So if,
Mm,
you get an automated, if you're a candidate, Jen, and you get a response, you get an automated message from, say, me, the employer,
yeah.
maybe that automated message can have a question in it. Is there anything that you like to share with us that maybe wasn't in the application that we want to think about? If you respond back with some information, it shows your intention. I mean, it really does. And I think that in many ways is a qualifying trait that you may want to consider. And so there are ways to sort of like shortcut your way. Not everything has to be like a 3-hour interview to get to the answer. Sometimes you just want to get a hint of the signal of a top talent. And did they go above and beyond to some degree? They're not just looking for a heartbeat. And so that I think there's ways to really do this in a way that matters, not just to like save time, but increase quality. So,
Question, Neil. I'm just putting you on the spot because we're just going to roll with our roadshow.
oh,
As we
okay,
think
let's do
about
this.
as we think about that experience, right, and those touch points and what you can integrate into automation, are you seeing with any clients like customization depending on the types of roles, right? So, for example, if I'm thinking of frontline, you probably want to ask as few questions as possible to get them through, get them hired, and on the floor, right? Whereas maybe a corporate role or something like that, you have some additional steps. Is that sort of what you're seeing and how you're helping clients?
You should absolutely design the process for the role that you're applying for. I mean, I mean, the range is infinite, but of what you could do. But I would say, your frontline individuals got to be a little quicker about that. Like, let's not put
Mm,
all the barriers up. I mean, you mentioned this already. Just how big of a pool you're weeding through. You got to figure that out. And then on a corporate managerial role, you probably have a higher expectation of what you would want to hear or see or
mm,
inquire about. You may want to do things like reference checks later, but you may want to prime them and say, or maybe say, here's what we're going to be looking for. I mean, quite frankly, I see some of our clients say when they get an application, they actually want to coach the candidate a little bit. I think it's a really
mm,
good practice. When I meet a coaching candidate, tell them, hey, here's some example questions we're going to ask you. Remember, it's actually a very like nerve-wracking experience to meet somebody for the first time. It's kind of a very one-way experience in many ways. I'm
mm.
going to ask you some questions because I have the power to give you a job. And I think when you give the candidates, be like, hey, we just want to get to know you. Here are some questions we're going to ask about your background, about what have you, and here are some things. Um, I think it just lowers, it gives them more empathetic experience and it helps them not guess about what they're walking into. Now, maybe you like the on the spot sort of like answers. I just think we have a better outcome if you say, we're excited to meet you. Here are some questions. And please check out our reviews on Glassdoor or whatever it is. And we want to be open and transparent. We want to see whether this is a fit. So I see those are the best practices. It's ultimately a human relationship. I think we should just acknowledge that
Yeah,
as much as we can.
relationship for sure. Yep.
Mhm.
All right, I think you're
Awesome.
going to walk us through an example.
Yeah, well, you asked me a question. I'm going to ask you a question. Speaking of mobile first,
Yeah.
be honest, Jen. Did you use a BlackBerry until 2010?
Okay, were you in my head? I was just having a conversation with my best friend this morning about the ringtone that I had in college. For those who want to know, it was a song by Lloyd. He was very popular. If you were a millennial, you will know. But I had a chocolate Verizon like flip phone. I never did the BlackBerry.
You
I went
didn't do the
right from the
BlackBerry?
chocolate phone to the iPhone. So it was a huge, huge leap for me.
You were on Razor? You had Razor all the way
I
through?
never had a razor. It was a different cool flippy thing. I don't know.
I'm
I
sure it was
wasn't cool
very
enough. I
cool.
was not cool enough for the razor, particularly the hot pink one.
Yeah. I have one friend who still has a flip phone. One friend.
What?
Uh, I don't know. In some
So
ways, I'm
what?
kind of envious. In some ways, I'm kind of envious.
You know what? Sometimes it's okay to keep it simple. I'm
Yeah,
here for it.
exactly. I'm like, so you gotta press the number button 3 times to get to the letter? It's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's why your texts are
Let's
very
not do that
short.
with our application process.
Exactly. All right, back to business. And there we go. Nokia slide. We got some OGs here who love their phones. I love the phone.
Yeah.
I had the BlackBerry, the original. I got the BlackBerry Color, and then the world changed for me, and then I've never looked back. But I kept all of those phones. I don't know why, thinking that maybe one day we would go back to it, but no, still
Stone
me.
graveyard. Yeah.
It sure is. We all have them. All right. MHG hotels. So let's talk about some examples. So you got to start in a crowded market. Here's what a customer story that what they did. They start with a career site. They got that ready to go. And then they got to connect with top talent. So in this particular case, they said the texting feature has been helpful. I mean, it's just so simple, but it has impact. It shows us they reach candidates quickly and directly, especially during that early stage of the process. I would argue even in the latter stages, there's a relationship element there that I think makes a difference. And assures them meeting and connecting with great people. So Aaron Goodwin, feel free to say good job, Aaron. And MHG, we love them. They're a great partner of ours. Let's keep going. That was a kind of example. Let's talk about visibility. So you've got a great process. You need to be able to really see what's going on, right? I think this is probably the phase where we're seeing a lot of our partners and clients kind of elevate their process. They're not just doing something, they're measuring. When time is the currency of your recruiting process, you got to kind of measure the time piece a bit and start to make tweaks to it. So we've got certainly great visibility within our platform, but we're seeing this enhances the employee satisfaction, the candidate experience much better when they take data and make decisions. And so, and also make sure you can align to the standards. I think sometimes we do things and we don't go back and see what was our benchmark. Like, did we do the thing we said we're going to do? And if we're not, where is it falling short? And I think that is the next, kind of what we call recruiting operations. Is not different than any regular operation in a business, if you will. So, certainly as a solution at Hierology, you have access to real-time insights and analytics right within the account. And it's just, I think we desire to partner with our customers to make them just and make smart decisions and data-driven decisions. And so it's within the platform. Again, excited about that. I think on to you, Jen. You're gonna help us recap.
Bring
We're
it on
covering.
home. And then I
Yeah.
love all of the activity that's in the chat, and definitely want to make sure we've got time to talk with the group. We've mentioned it a few times, but I'll just put a little fun bow on it. Candidates expect that fast and seamless application process. That is like, you forget nothing else from this time together today. That is the one takeaway. So what does that look like as we think about the three pillars, right? It's that strong digital showroom, or that storefront, as I call it, that streamlined application and interview process. And you'll just mention kind of treating this like operations, right? Or your marketing funnel. And then highlighting the benefits beyond pay to seal the deal, right? Culture, belonging, especially a lot of data out there, as I'm sure you know, that points to the importance of that in drawing folks in and being a differentiator. And we know that a mission statement on a website is one thing, but seeing it in practice, seeing someone who looks like you, right, on a website or in a video is much more meaningful than words on a page. So those are the three things. Action steps include prioritizing your mobile-friendly career sites, simplifying your applications, communicating quickly, speed, and showcasing those growth opportunities. So simple, right? I mean, right? Simple.
Easy peasy.
I say that in jest, everyone. I know it's easy to hear, right, these steps, but I want to make sure that we have time for questions to really talk about and unpack maybe what are some of the challenges to you getting to these points. I think Neil and team are great partners in being able to talk through that. And really just anything else that you want to cover during our time together. Turn it over to Tara.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for your time and attention today. Like Jen said, we'd love to hear from you. What questions do you all have? Feel free to drop them in the Q&A or even the chat, and we'll do our best to address them. We have gotten a few in. I think I'll kick this one off to you first, Jen. How does sharing our experiences help us grow? And then also, what can we do to build that kind of supportive environment in our own organizations?
Clarifying question, by experiences, you mean advocating for improved processes.
Yes, exactly. I think that seems what it sounds like they're saying.
Well, at AHLA and the foundation, I can tell you, no, in all seriousness, the foundation in particular, one of the things that we work hard at and will continue to work hard at is continuing to be that convener, right, for the industry to come together, to share best practices, to learn from each other, to commiserate, to solve problems. And so that happens a variety of formal ways through AHLA as we think about the HR committee and a lot of other committees, right, that come with membership. But certainly as we move forward with the foundation, we want to continue to think about ways to have those conversations in person and virtually. And maybe that it layers in with other programming. So I'll give a perfect example, like the Forward Conference, right, which is going to be in Atlanta in April. That's a great time to look at the roster of 1,000 people who are going and find out who's in HR, who's in ops, who's in sales, like who can you talk to, like when you're on the ground. I would just encourage, whether you're traveling or even joining webinars like this, like find those opportunities to sort of jam those questions that you have, right, into that forum, and be intentional about connecting with folks who you suspect might be going through similar challenges or might be a step ahead of you, right, as you think about the maturity of your recruitment marketing process. So HLA and the foundation certainly want to continue creating platforms and space for that. One example is right here. So
Great. That sounds great. We've got another question in the chat from Julissa. In regards to frictionless applications, what are some suggestions or recommendations about surveys and or assessments?
Yeah, I can take that. So I think surveys and assessments are critical to making sure that you get information at the right time and right space to make a choice to move on to the next step. What I see is the mistakes people make is that they ask all the questions up front. They kind of want you to meet you they want to meet you for the first time knowing everything about your life history and that you're going to be a great candidate. And I think that is probably the biggest mistake because you're just creating more friction. Candidates want to tell you everything. They actually like talking about themselves, but they like talking about themselves, not writing about themselves. And so to make it a candidate first experience, give them the forum to say a few things and say, we'd love to hear about you in the 15 minutes that we meet with you and tomorrow. It doesn't have to be they just want to they're excited to meet you. They're excited to meet you. And so, have some survey questions that you think are mission critical. Make it a little fun, like put a little personality in there. And then on I think the part was test, right? Testing was right there. I think that's fair to do, but I think you do that only after you set the expectation. I think saying, and we do this at Hierology for our own candidates, we say, hey, listen, you're super busy. I know you're applying to 30 jobs. We don't say that, but we know they are. And we say, would you be willing to invest the time? And we'll invest the time in a case study or whatever the thing is to help us get to know you better and to see whether this is a fit. There's intention behind these things. And because the job requires these characteristics. So explain the why. And I think when you do it with that kind of authenticity, I can't say that word, but you know what I'm saying, you actually bring that candidate closer to you, not further apart. So I think it reduces friction, not increases friction. So that's my take on sort of those two pieces.
And Anil, as we think about the back end of that, right, the data that people are able to see, like how do they go about looking at that data to maybe identify where there continues to be friction within that process? Like what's that continuous improvement cycle look like as it relates to like leveraging the data that is available? Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay.
Cool. We've got another one in the chat. I think this would be good for you and Neil. What's the first step leaders should take to manage change, and what support is available to help them along the way?
Yeah. By the way, Tara, did you ever use a BlackBerry?
No, what did I start with? It was like a blue flip phone. It had like a full keyboard. I don't know the name of it. Never
I
had a
think it's like
BlackBerry.
T-Mobile Flip or whatever. I don't know what it's called, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need to stall because I'm thinking about the answer. So the first step leaders should take to manage change, and what as it relates to maybe recruiting, this question, great question. I think, and the first step is not software, I can tell you that much. It's not technology. It's not buying hierarchy. It's not doing demos with our company or any company. It really is, the change is the your intention. It's your intention and your team's intention of the desire for better. That's all it is. The desire to take action on getting better. If there's not a desire to take action on getting better, then there is no solution no technology that will help you do that. Um, I can't stress that enough. We actually don't think we're good partners with people who say, how are you going to solve my change problem? Like, of people's minds, of like, how do I get them to get better at recruiting? We're really good at coaching on that front and providing feedback. But the question you have to ask your management team is like, do we want to be the best at recruiting the best talent for our business? Is that what we want to be as a business? And then the answer is yes. The second question is like, okay, what are we willing to do to make sure we go down that path? What are the commitments we're going to make together, and who's not as committed? And I think that's the first step. I think that's the first step to, I mean, everything. It's like, couch to 5K. Name everything that you think in life that's hard. It starts with your intention and your ability to partner with somebody and people around you to go do that thing. And perhaps that's the hardest step, but I think it's not technology. Technology actually is a pretty easy part of the equation. It's easy to use, you can adopt it. All the information is there. These are thousands of customers using it. There's enough referential information to say this thing works. But the journey you got to be on is that first step with a group of people who believe to be true that we can do better. And I would encourage you to spark conversations in forums where people are saying, man, if we only could get the best talent, if we only got more applicants, say, okay, I hear you. Let's talk about are we gonna make this a priority for our business next year? And are we gonna name somebody to go address this priority in a holistic way and empower them to make choices and provide feedback? I mean, that's the beginning of everything. So, um, I'm gonna turn it back to you, Tara, before I get too passionate about that topic, if not already. But I think that is the key to a lot of this.
We love the passion. We absolutely love it. I think that's all the questions that we've got so far. I'll continue on here, but feel free if anything comes up to still add it in. We still got a little time we can cover. But before we close, I quickly want to share where you can meet us in person next. Hierology and Jen will both be at the Hospitality Show in Denver, October 26th through 28th. You'll find Hierology at booth 1509. So we'd love for you to stop by, connect with our team, and continue the conversation. Looks like Suzanne has a question about the use of AI in state laws. Oregon recently rolled out a law that limits the use of AI. Not sure if there's comments there, Anil.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what was the question per se, but if anybody knows me, I'm a big advocate of AI, and I believe a lot of good will come out of it. Certainly use it personally and professionally. But the question is fair. There are some real concerns about, and if you're following the sort of the HR law landscape, and then be a nerd like me, you see that there are some dangers in terms of how you can use AI to make decisions for you. And because it's sort of a new space, you can use AI to help you ask questions. You can use AI to help you summarize information. But once you start AI to tell you to make a choice, that's where I think we're not quite there yet, in terms uh, of um, of proven outcomes and enough protections around those choices. So I would say make sure the human is involved to make the choice. I think summarizing information without bias and making sure you can parse information because those things already exist is totally fair game. Writing job descriptions, those things seem to have to be acceptable right now. It's a moving target, let's put it that way. And I would caution anybody who's working with a partner who says, like, we have decision-making AI tools for you that will just choose a candidate for you. I think I applaud their position to try to innovate in that space, but I think you got to do that in partnership with a community of people who are looking to make sure this is ethical, safe, and it meets the standards that exist. So I would say I'm a cautiously optimistic about this space in general, but I would say don't go all in on the decision-making portion of it.
Mhm. And Suzanne, I'll flag this for the policy team who is looking at AI, right, and its impact on our industry from a variety of fronts, including through the HR lens. I doubt that they're going to have state-specific insights at this point, but from a trending tracking perspective, it certainly is important to be thinking about how laws may impact what we can or can't do as it relates specifically to recruitment or anything from a workforce perspective. So thanks for flagging that.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you'd like to access the full report of what we've talked about today, you'll get a ton more insights. You can scan the QR code here. We look forward to seeing all the amazing things your hotels will accomplish with these new strategies. And just a reminder, you'll receive an email from us within 24 hours. You'll get the recording, this presentation, and probably much more. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks, John and Anil. We appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Oh, it's fun. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.